Hey all, I'm Keenan. I'm a 3D environmental artist over at Giant Software, and I'm currently doing my bachelor's in game art at SE here in Zurich. Today in my e-learning, I'll be introducing you to the process of creating a so-called building mask, also known as an RGB dirt mask, which is set up through the use of the second UV set. Additionally, I'll be showing you how you set up a second UV set so you can create said building. Also, this second UV offers a lot of opportunities, which I will show you as well. Now, before I show you any of those things, just a quick notice. This e-learning will be based around Maya. However, by the end, I'll show you how to set up the materials in Unreal and do some work around in Substance Painter and whatnot. So for the Blender users, there might still be something you can pick up, but just to be advised, this is Maya primarily. Furthermore, I won't be showing you a lot of modeling here, because I will assume that you already know how to do something like this. However, I'll still give you some tips on how you set up certain things. So, alright, foremost, what even is a building mask? Generally, when you create a building like this, you use something we call a trim sheet for your building creation process. But for trim sheets, usually is a tileable texture and it's repeating itself, so you want to break apart this repetition that you see. You want to add the details where they're supposed to be, and with a trim sheet, you generally can't achieve something like that. So this is why you need a second layer on top of this trim sheet, which is then the dirt mask. So a dirt mask is usually set up with one texture. This texture is then split apart in 3 channels, so the R, G, and B channel. With most dirt masks, you usually have one channel reserved for the ambient occlusion map. The other 2 channels is up to you. In my case, I've used one channel for the dirt that you can see here on this arch, right around here, and the second channel was used for moss that's like growing here clearly on this on these like tiles. Now, going to Maya right now, the question is, how do we create this much needed second UV set? First off, before you do any of this, I recommend having completed the modeling and the texturing process first. You might run into the risk otherwise of finding things that needs to be altered, which will lead you into having to redo the entire mask again. Which, as you will see, will take quite a lot of work. So you want to avoid doing that as much as you can. Just have everything done and start off with the second UV. So that being said, I'm just going to hide everything else besides my building. And I'm going to open up my UV editor. And you're going to see this is pretty much the layout for a trim sheet building. This is usually how it looks like. But this is all intentional. So once you have everything laid out, you want to mark everything and then go over to UV set and copy UV set into new UV set. This will create a second UV set, or in my case it will create a third one, which you can see right here. So going over to the second one is going to show you this layout that I've already prepared. In your case, it's just going to show the exact same thing. So just make sure you're on map 2 or whatever it's called right now. You can always rename stuff by going into the UV set editor. But before I have to like mark everything, go here, it's right there. So in the second UV channel, you want to make sure that everything is like sewed together, everything is laid out nicely, so no overlapping things, no mirroring things, because you want detail. You don't want things to repeat themselves, because here's the chance. And also don't worry about texture density, because this is a mask, it really doesn't matter, as you will see in a bit. So pretty much this is it. It's prepared. You can get started with the dirt mask. So whenever I start working on a dirt mask, I usually always get the ambient occlusion done right away, because you will need it for Substance Painter to use these generators and whatnot to create these like beautiful dirt masks and whatnot. And one way you can do it is by making it in Substance Painter, but I also recommend taking a look at Arnold Render, because it's pretty powerful and it can make some pretty nice looking ambient occlusion. If you do intend to do it this way, I'll gladly show you how to do it. One way to get started on it is now we need to make sure that the second UV channel is on the first one. So the best way to do it is to copy this entire mesh. In my case, I'll just duplicate it. I'm going to move it out of this group here. And what I'm going to do is now I'm going to go back to the UV shell editor. And I am on the second UV map. I copied everything and selected everything. And I'm going to copy it over to map 1. So you go copy map 1. What this is going to do is going to replace map 1 with map 2. But map 2 is still there, so there's no changes if I change in between them. So I need to now delete map 2. One way to do it is UV set editor, select map 2, delete it. Now, this mesh has like one map only, and we can get started by creating the ambient occlusion. So before you do that, just create a plane under the mesh. It will create like a nice gradient from the walls up for the ambient occlusion, which will be pretty important. Now we need to give this material a so-called AI ambient occlusion material. One way you can do this is by going over to the hypershade, and you look over here for something called AI ambient occlusion. You apply it. I already have it here applied. If you can't find it, just go to your plugin. You can Control F, plugin manager, and look for something called MTOA. Make sure this one is loaded, otherwise it will not be available for you. So I'm gonna apply this ambient occlusion map to the ambient occlusion material to this mesh. And now to be able to see what it looks like, I have to go to Arnold in render, change from viewport to Arnold, and it's now gonna show this ambient occlusion applied to your mesh. Now you can pretty much play around with the settings and see what works, what doesn't work. For me, spread setting it to 0.8 is nice because it avoids having like dark spots being too spread out. So depending on how big your building is, you want to change that. So now we need to render this into a texture. One way you're going to do is you're going to change the menu set up here from modeling to rendering or whatever you're on, and go to Arnold over here, drop down into utilities, and go into render selection to texture. You want to change the resolution to something higher. For me, 4K is ideal. And then you can render it out. Just be aware, Arnold renders in CPU, which means that depending on your specs, it might take a little while. For me, it took about 2-3 minutes to render out a 4K map. But by the end of it, you should have a pretty nice ambient occlusion map. So, once you're done with your ambient occlusion setup and everything around that, it's time to go into Substance Painter. And in here, you're going to drag your ambient occlusion map into your library, and you're going to paste it into your mesh ambient occlusion texture. And this you should do because otherwise Substance Painter isn't going to know if you have an ambient occlusion map or not. And then when you get into baking, what you want to do is you want to bake a world space normal, you want to bake a curvature, position, and thickness, just so you can really utilize the generators if you intend to do that. So in my case, what I did is I added a black fill layer at the base, and then added white fill layers and masks to see what I'm even painting. In the dirt layer, for instance, I added a dirt generator and painted it and adjusted it, added some streaks and whatnot. And I added, for the moss, I just used some of the paintbrushes to create these like streaks, so these very strong, like pronounced details here up on the roof. I actually recommend looking up some real life examples if you're doing realistic stuff on how buildings get dirty. A really nice way to do it is this like beautiful library that this guy called Pavel Matusek set up of thousands of different models. Amongst them he has like buildings as well, so you can actually look at them in 3D space and see how like things like rooftops and whatnot get dirty, and really nice detail here of these photo scans. I'll link it down below in my description. But anyway, once you're done with this, what you can do is pretty much you can just right click one of the masks and you can export to file, so you don't have to like render out these like textures and whatnot. So you only need the masks because we need white and black values, so this serves us perfectly. So the next step will be to merge all textures together into one map, and we need to split each one of those masks into the respective channels. So what I like to do is usually in Photoshop, I'll just have all the maps right in here. I'm gonna copy my dirt mask, and I'm gonna go over to my ambient occlusion, go to channel, and just paste it in one of the channels. It's just gonna replace whatever was there before, and it's gonna create this like exact mask that I need. In this case, I left the ambient occlusion in the green channel. It's up to you how you want to do it. Really, it doesn't really matter, as you're going to see in Unreal. I just like to have the green reserved for the ambient occlusion because that's how we do it for work, so I keep a consistency there. So once everything's done, you've exported everything and imported it into Unreal, you can actually go here to your mesh, and you can actually check if it has both UV sets in there. In this case, it does. There's always going to be a third one. This one you can ignore, but here you're gonna notice one thing is very important: UV channel 0. This is gonna be the first UV set, and UV channel 1 is your second UV set. So just bear that in mind, because in the material itself, now assuming you've already set everything up, you're gonna throw your mask in there, and you're gonna tell Unreal, hey, this belongs to UV channel 1. And my base layer is UV channel 0, right? And then what you're gonna do is you're gonna create a LERP node. You're gonna apply your base texture into A, and you're gonna take whatever tolerable texture you want to use. In this case, for me, it's dirt. It's a dirty texture, so I'm gonna throw it into the B node connection, and I am gonna then drag the red channel from this mask into alpha. I'm gonna do the same thing for the map, for the moss map here as well, but here is gonna be the blue one because I put the mask for the moss in the blue channel, so I'm just gonna drag it into the alpha. Here, same thing. Then you're just gonna add both together and throw it into the base color map, and the result should be pretty much something that reflects what we have here. Similar things to the ambient occlusion, you're also gonna just drag, in my case it's the green channel, I'm gonna grab it into the alpha, I'm gonna take the ambient occlusion from the ORM map, throw it into the A connection, and then take a white fill layer and then throw it into the B and drag it into ambient occlusion. So yeah, that should be it. You should have a nicely textured and nicely detailed building. The next step will be just adding decals and whatnot to your building, just to give it more detail. But yeah, this is pretty much the setup. As you can see, it's pretty straightforward, but it requires you be finished, as I said before, with the modeling and everything. So yeah, just a couple of articles I can recommend in regards to this whole thing that I've shown. Is this beautiful neoclassical building done by Morten Kaiminen. This one also utilizes a very, very dirty dirt mask, as you can see here, to apply the details. And there's also this really interesting article on 80.lv from the PUBG guys. They utilize UV, the second UV set, to create parameters like wear and tear on buildings that they can then, again, with a parameter slider, they can change that, as you can see here in some of these examples that I've provided here. So every building looks different, but it's always the same building, but just it has different attribute done to it. But yeah, that should be it. You've created a dirt mask, you've understood how to create a second UV channel, and how to import it into Unreal, just as an added bonus. If you have any questions, hit me up. I'm gonna be on the school Discord server. You'll look me up there, or my art station is gonna be linked in the description down below, where you can also contact me if you have any questions. Feel free to hit me up. Anyway, thanks for listening. Have a nice day, and see you.